In this podcast episode, Paul Rosolie shares his extraordinary experiences and insights from working intimately with the Amazon rainforest, its wildlife, indigenous people, and the environmental challenges threatening its future. Through candid storytelling, he explores harrowing personal encounters with dangerous animals and uncontacted tribes, the realities of conservation efforts amidst illegal logging and narcotrafficking, and the broader ecological and spiritual significance of preserving this ancient ecosystem. Paul recounts a vivid and painful experience of being stung by a venomous freshwater stingray while swimming barefoot in an Amazon stream. Striking his foot with a barb the size of a steak knife, the stingray injected a large amount of venom while simultaneously tearing off skin as it flexed its tail under the flesh. The intense pain was unlike anything he had imagined, ranking as a 10 on the pain scale and lasting for several hours. Local indigenous remedies involving heated medicinal barks applied as a poultice helped neutralize the venom, contrasting with the poor outcomes of people relying solely on Western medicine, who oftentimes suffer lasting nerve damage or infections. This event opened Paul's eyes to the profound value of indigenous knowledge when dealing with natural hazards in the rainforest. Paul highlights the practicality and cultural wisdom of going barefoot in the jungle environment, learning from native trackers who move silently without the noise and clumsiness of boots. Though it improves balance, tactile awareness, and mobility, it also exposes one to many dangers, such as sharp thorns, bullet ants, snakes, and stingrays. He discusses the bullet ant, the most painful sting known, describing its aggressive behavior and venom that induces intense pain, fever, and a psychological sense of impending doom designed to deter threats. The natural instincts and defensive strategies of insects like wasps and bullet ants serve as a reminder of the harsh realities of jungle life and the complexity of the ecosystem. Paul shares dramatic stories of close encounters with jaguars and the elusive wild tiger. Jaguars, with their immense bite strength, are formidable predators but tend to ignore humans if unprovoked, blending nearly invisibly into the jungle's light and shadow patterns. Tigers, on the other hand, have faced near extinction, and Paul recounts his quest to witness a wild tiger in India, a moment of humbling insignificance felt as the tiger passed completely indifferent to his presence. He also touches on the challenges faced by tigers bred in captivity, which lack survival skills and cannot be released into the wild, emphasizing the broader issues of endangered species preservation. The jungle is described as an ever-living, breathing entity where life thrives in lush abundance. Unlike the silence many associate with wilderness, the Amazon pulses with constant sound. From dawn chorus to nighttime mating calls, howler monkeys, macaws, and countless insects and amphibians. This rich acoustic landscape is calming rather than unsettling for those who connect with nature deeply. The towering canopy, which Meyer likens to an inverted ocean, shelters half of all rainforest life, yet remains largely unexplored, containing countless undiscovered species and untapped medicinal potential. Paul reveals the backstory and fallout from a notorious media stunt where he agreed to be eaten alive by an anaconda for a Discovery Channel program, hoping the exposure would advance conservation efforts. Instead, the show's producers misrepresented the event, branding him as the anaconda guy and damaging his credibility and relationships in the conservation community. This professional setback forced Paul to retreat into deeper wilderness experiences, living with semi-wild elephants and undertaking solo Amazon expeditions, eventually refocusing his mission on genuine forest protection and community engagement rather than fleeting media spectacle. Growing up dyslexic in suburban environments far removed from wilderness, Paul's love for wild animals and natural landscapes was sparked by childhood readings of Jane Goodall and adventurous literary heroes. He acknowledges that his drive to save the rainforest is intensely selfish, rooted in a deep appreciation for the complexity and essential role of the Amazon in sustaining global life, including oxygen production and climate regulation. The threat of ecological collapse and the irreversible loss of biodiversity presents a unique challenge for his generation: the opportunity and responsibility to act decisively. Paul elaborates on the Amazon's vital ecological functions, highlighting its role as a mist river, that releases trillions of liters of water daily, sustaining regional and global rainfall cycles and interconnected biospheres. The Amazon exchanges nutrients with the Sahara Desert, illustrating Earth's intricate environmental interdependence. With 20% of the forest already lost to deforestation, the ecosystem is approaching a tipping point beyond which the forest's regenerative cycles could collapse, leading to massive dieback, drought, and loss of biodiversity equivalent to a planetary apocalypse. Conservation efforts have evolved to include former loggers and gold miners who historically fueled deforestation through chainsaws and illegal mining. By offering these locals better paid, safer work as forest rangers tasked with protecting the jungle, Paul and his partners align economic incentives toward preservation rather than destruction. This bottom-up approach is more effective in remote forest regions where government enforcement is limited. Alongside local expertise, this strategy mitigates the cycle of poverty-driven environmental exploitation and offers community pride and sustainable livelihood. The emergence of narco-traffickers cultivating cocaine plantations deep in the Amazon adds a new, dangerous dimension to forest protection. Unlike local rural inhabitants, these traffickers are armed, violent, and willing to kill to maintain territory. This develops a constant security threat requiring Paul to travel with armed guards. Despite this, efforts by Peruvian authorities to combat drug operations offer hope, though the instability can discourage broader public support and donations for conservation work. The struggle to protect the forest thus includes combating modern human threats as lethal as natural ones. Paul reflects on his most frightening moments, both animal and human-related. Near being hunted by uncontacted tribes, armed with large arrows and unyielding attack intent, and dealing with life-threatening infections while nursing a baby anteater, his resilience and commitment have been tested repeatedly. He shares the psychological toll of risking death and the perseverance it requires to pursue his vocation and passion in such an unforgiving environment. The journey toward effective conservation has been marked by many setbacks. Paul emphasizes the importance of stubbornness and obsession, the deeply personal, relentless commitment to a goal that sustains action through difficulty and discouragement. For him, this obsession feeds meaning and identity, transforming years of effort and failures into a sustained mission. Support from his family, heroes like Jane Goodall, and the development of Jungle Keepers as an organization sustain him and embody the ongoing struggle to protect the forest. For Paul, the Amazon rainforest transcends ecological and scientific value. It is a place of spiritual significance. The teeming, vibrant complexity of life surrounded by ancient, towering trees embodies the essence of God or the sacred for him. This living cathedral of biodiversity represents life's triumph against cosmic emptiness and profoundly connects him to a purpose larger than himself. Despite the pristine perception of the Amazon, much of the water in major river channels is unsuitable for drinking due to sediment and pollution, though small, pristine streams provide clean water. Paul acknowledges that adapting fully to this environment requires embracing inherent risks, including exposure to parasites and venomous creatures, embodying a holistic gameplay of immersion despite the dangers, a mindset necessary for true engagement with wild nature. The encounter with an uncontacted tribe provides a rare glimpse of humanity existing outside global civilization. These people live deep in isolation, adhering to ancient ways with Stone Age technology, and react defensively to outsiders, sometimes violently. Their interactions with jungle keepers are cautious and marked by an exchange of simple gifts. The ongoing conservation of their forest homes is essential for their survival. Paul stresses respect for their desire for isolation, balanced against ethical dilemmas around their protection and contact with the outside world. Jungle Keeper's strategy involves purchasing and legally protecting thousands of acres of Amazon rainforest, progressively expanding toward creating a national park. This official status affords stronger protections and empowers indigenous communities as guardians of their lands, diverging from earlier extractive uses. The model depends on securing funding from individuals around the world who want to see effective, transparent conservation with direct impact on land acquisition and ranger salaries rather than administrative overhead. It serves as a blueprint for similar efforts globally. Paul touches on the broader demographic and ethical dilemma of how human population growth intersects with environmental sustainability. He underscores the uniqueness of the current era, where humanity is capable of altering planetary systems irreversibly, and emphasizes the duty to future generations to act as stewards. Long-termism, the responsibility towards unborn generations, is presented as a necessary ethical framework in the fight against ecological destruction and species extinction. The episode also touches on the emerging scientific efforts to resurrect extinct species, such as the woolly mammoth or dodo bird, through genetic technologies. Paul voices skepticism about these projects, arguing that cloning or genetic engineering cannot truly bring back extinct species with their ecological functions and cultural significance intact. Rather, he advocates focusing efforts on protecting and restoring existing ecosystems and species, emphasizing respect for the complexity and integrity of nature. Paul accentuates how half the life in rainforests exists in the canopy, an underexplored fourth dimension of Earth, teeming with unknown species and complex ecological interactions. Due to difficult access, this vital part of biodiversity remains terra incognita, providing yet more urgency and fascination for continued exploration and conservation efforts. Despite decades of struggle, Paul remains committed to the long road ahead, envisioning a future where protected areas allow for scientific research, education, and carefully managed ecotourism that benefits local communities and sustains biodiversity. The hope is to inspire replication of this model worldwide and to support Indigenous stewardship of vast wilderness areas. His experiences affirm that while the fight is far from over, momentum is growing, and the time to act has never been more critical.